Hey everyone, welcome to the Premodern Showdown series. I'm Michael Hoyp, and I'm here with Flint Espel.
Hey, everybody.
Um, we are very excited for our first episode. We've been working on this for uh, probably about 2 months now, and we're really excited for the first episode. And we're thankful for everyone who can join us, and thankful for anyone who can watch the replays of the stream or support us in any way. We love pre-modern, and we just want to kind of show it to the world and kind of share that experience with everyone. So, Flint, do you want to give a quick introduction of the pre-modern showdown series and what's going to happen tonight?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got 8 players, 8 weeks of play. Everybody plays once a week. It's a round robin style. After 8 weeks of round robin play, we'll cut to a top four based on standings. Every player has created 3 decks, and all deck lists have been shared with every other player. So before each player plays their opponent, they get to strike one of the 3 decks, one of their 3 opponents' decks, and that opponent is not allowed to play that deck, and their opponent is allowed to strike one of their 3 decks. And so we're not sure which decks have been stricken yet. We've got the deck list here. And so Michael and I are going to briefly talk about which decks these players have created and which decks we think they're likely to strike and likely to play.
Okay, so we're going to quick go through the three options that were available, and then we're going to make some predictions on what we would do in terms of banning. We don't know what they've banned yet, and we're going to figure that out once they start playing. So the first deck that is available to Ron Taylor is Stasis. So you can see that here. We'll move over. Another one is Landstill. So this is a pretty stock blue-white standstill list. And then his last deck is kind of the deck he's known for, Reanimator. This list is a
Mm-hmm.
little bit different than what he normally plays. This list has a Worldly Tutor package and then has some Silver Bullet creatures that he can tutor up and to then pitch and then reanimate. As compared to the other one was just more four ofs. So I haven't seen this style of Reanimator in action, so it would be interesting if this gets played. And I'll quick bring up Andrew's decks. So there's gonna be lots of enchantments in probably all three of these decks. That's something that Andrew's very well known for.
There's
Uh,
probably some green in all three.
yes. So blue green Enchantress is one of the options for Andrew. It's a combo deck that looks to kind of bounce everything with Words of Wind. Oath is something that Andrew's really known for, and this he's got the all his trademark cards in terms of Worthy Cause and the Dragon Breath and the his creature of choice is just 4 Phantom Neshoba. So if he's triggering Oath, that's what he's going to get in play for the first game. He's got some different options on the sideboard, but the third deck he has is a Squee Stormbind deck. And so basically what it's looking to do is it kind of has the Exploration Hornagreed engine that we've seen in Turbo Oath or the Lands deck that Flint had played in the Spring Fling. And then it's just looking to stock up your hand and then pitch a bunch of cards to Stormbind. And it can keep pitching stuff. If it gets Squee, it can
Mm-hmm.
pitch those to Stormbind, and then it is just going to churn through its deck. It's kind of like a red green control deck. All right, so now that we've quick looked at the decks, we're going to go over the bans, and um, we'll we'll make a prediction on what you would ban. All right, Flint. So if you're from the perspective of Andrew, which deck of Ron's do you think you're going to ban?
I would strike Stasis. It's just, first of all, it's not fun to play against. Ron loves Stasis, and so I don't think he put it in there as a ringer to make sure that that's always the one that people ban. But I think he should ban it because it's annoying. It can stop most of Andrew's early shenanigans and key cards because it runs a ton of counter magic. So he can counter the Oath, he can counter the Stormbind. And I think that if I'm Andrew, that's probably what I would strike.
Yep, I agree. I think the Stasis deck has I think it has more counter spells than the blue white deck, and all three of Andrew's decks are kind of threat light. They have a lot of setup cards, and I think you could really pick your spot with the counter spells and take advantage of that. So I think Andrew probably wants to get rid of Stasis. If you are Ron, what deck would you ban?
If I'm Ron, I probably want to strike. Ooh, I probably want to strike Oath. I think Oath is probably the most powerful, and I think if you look at the sideboards in Ron's decks, he has the most game against the other two strategies. So that's probably what I would do. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
My intuition was to ban the blue green Enchantress deck. I think if
Uh,
you, I think you're happy if you're playing Stasis or blue white Standstill against Oath or the Stormbind, and I feel like just the most opportunity to lose is with the Enchantress deck. So let's go over to the match and we'll have them get started and we'll figure out what decks they're playing and we'll see who will take down this first match of the pre-modern Showdown series.
all right. It looks like the players are all shuffled up and ready to go. I'm gonna let them know that it's time to get started, and we'll jump right in.
It looks like Andrew's saying hi with his cards. I think that's what it was.
Happy birthday, Andrew.
Yeah. I think it might be I might have the cameras flipped so it was backwards. So maybe next time he can figure it out. So if he's gonna write a message, he has to write it backwards.
All right, so gemstone mine from Andrew. So what's he on?
I
Oh,
I think this is the Oath deck. I actually don't.
I think it's I think it's Oath.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
with
right. I'll wait to adjust the.
yeah, Oath
Okay,
Oath runs the tax rack. Oath runs the tax rack
okay.
list. That's his engine, so he's on Oath. That's the deck that I would want to be playing if I were Andrew, but we'll see.
So Ron started with Island, so that could be Stasis,
Oh
or
no.
it could be Blue White Landstill. But
Please be Landstill. Please be Landstill.
no, I mean like people talk about like Stasis. I mean, I played it, and the games don't go that long. A lot of times, it actually is like you kind of wait, and once you put Stasis in play, then the games actually go faster. But
I agree. And there are fewer decisions to be made than like a tax rack deck that like Andrew's on, like Pink Prison or Terrageddon. Some of these decks where you have a lot of decisions to make each turn go a lot longer. And Ron's an experienced stasis player too, so he's fast with it. So one of the rules we said is if you're going to play stasis or a tax rack deck, you should be experienced with it because this is time limited. We can go to time.
yes, all right. So there we see Oath of Druids, and then also
Landstill.
yep,
Yeah.
Landstill. So let's bring up the Oath.
I think that's Ron's best choice in this match too. Landstill, for those of you who aren't familiar with the format as much, it's just a really solid deck. It performs well. It's got game against most strategies, and it's a pretty solid choice to include in your three decks. Thanks, Gracefully Balding. We love this format too, and we're happy to have you here. We're excited that we can show a bunch of the different players who have been involved in the format over like at least the past year while I've been a part of it, and even longer for Michael.
All right, so Seal of Cleansing is getting rid of Standstill, but maybe not in the way that you want to. So, but yeah, so I mean, okay, so it's just a way to get something in the graveyard, so that
Yep.
way, Andrew's able to use Funeral Pyre. So let's bring that one up. So
Yep.
this is a way to trigger Oath against decks that don't have many or any creatures. Oh, not from Torment. Funeral Pyre. So Ron, it needs to have. I mean, he could have cards. He could have is like Disenchant or Swords of Plowshares to get rid of the token. Does he
Mhm.
have a token in play? Is there a
He does.
cost?
It's a small die.
Okay,
Honestly,
it
we
almost looks.
should have sent we should have sent tokens to all the other players except for Andrew
Yeah,
ahead of time because we knew that Funeral Pyre was coming.
yeah. It was just kind of transparent, and I wasn't sure if it was just part of the playmat. All right, it's the first damage, right? Oh, I guess there was a fetch land, right?
um,
Fetch land from Andrew and from
Ron has
Ron.
and from Ron, yeah.
All
So
right.
19, 18.
Oh, there's a
He's gonna
swords.
swords his own token.
So yeah,
Yep.
that's That's a good way for Ron gets to gain life, but more importantly, he gets to get rid of the creature. So now the oath is just gonna sit there, and he's got another standstill.
Another standstill. Interesting. So does he? Do you think he just doesn't have counter magic, enough counter magic in his hand?
Well, I mean, what are you worried about coming down at this point? Oh, are you just saying because of the seal of cleansing's already in play, or
Yeah.
I mean, he would
Maybe
have
he
to
wants
wait
to
for like a
bring in his
disenchant.
factory.
Yeah, I mean, like I think he'd rather have a land than the standstill, so I think that's fine. And if Andrew's not going to blow up the standstill with the seal of cleansing,
Hmm.
I mean, Ron's just going to develop. Also, he might have had a discard anyways. Like he drew 3 cards from standstill. I don't know how many exactly he had in hand.
That's fair.
All right, let me get these decks updated.
And we started at 40 after the hour, right, Michael?
Yes.
So that's when this round will end,
Yeah.
technically. Kevin Costanarino. It does feel like a tough matchup for Andrew. You know, Landstill is a solid deck, but he's got the cards out he needs, right, Michael? I mean, he's doing well so far, and now there's a rack, so now he's got an engine for card advantage.
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of look at it from this perspective, I mean, his game plan against the decks that don't have creatures is the Funeral Pyre, and Ron's either going to have a counter spell or a Swords of Plowshares for the Funeral Pyre, and then Andrew pretty much has to cast Phantom Nishoba, which isn't that hard for Ron to deal with. So I think Ron just has a lot of time. Like, there's not that many cards he like really cares about, and I don't think there's that many ways that Andrew can punish Ron. So I like Ron's position a lot.
Yeah. He's got to counter all the funeral pyres, the Nishobas, and the blessings, right? Or at least
Sure.
swords,
Yeah.
various things.
Yeah. I mean, like, or you could just set up like a board presence where you have a bunch of mana and you cycle Decree of Justice, and you're like, okay, you can get in a Shoba. I'll remove it, and then I'll attack you. All right. One deck name is updated.
All right.
Okay. So I kind of like Ron's position. I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree? Are there any of the points that you think don't
Yeah,
apply or
he's in a pretty good spot here. I
you,
mean, he's got a factory to start dealing some damage too. Does Andrew run main deck removal?
I don't remember offhand.
Trying to zoom in here on his list. It doesn't look like he does. He's got one seal, but he already used it, so he can't use it on the factory. Maybe that's a disenchant
I don't
and an
think
aura of
I think
silence.
he has an aura silence. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Factor Fiction is coming from Ron. So we're gonna see 5 cards and uh, so that's Dismantling Blow, Wasteland, Flooded Strand, Impulse, and I believe Humility.
Yep.
So how are you splitting these? Can you do it faster than Andrew?
I think I would go. What's the one? It's impulse.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, dismantling blow is a problem, so I think you separate that and humility, and then you put the impulse with the dismantling blow, and maybe the flooded strand and the wasteland. Well, no, and the wasteland, and then the flooded strand with the humility.
Is he putting into 3 piles? Is that the
If only,
the
right?
special birthday split? Yeah, it's Andrew's birthday today, so we can all wish him
Hey,
a
you
happy
know,
birthday. Maybe he gets
heck
some
yeah.
few perks when he's playing. All right, so I mean, at this point, like If you put humility in, oh no, I guess humility is actually really bad against Phantom Nishoba because it's a 1/1, but then it still has 7 counters.
It has all
So
the counters on it. Yeah.
I would be less inclined, unless he's like we're just really interested in that impulse. I don't think that humility is a good choice. So I would have taken the other pile. Like dismantling
Yeah.
blow sees
It's
two
super good.
cards and gets rid of a threat. Um, I think I would have taken the other pile.
What's he got? Oh, his own seal. All right.
Okay.
And Andrew's got 2 scroll racks and 3 land tax. So if he's going to use it and he's not going to use it on the oath, then you hit the scroll rack. But he's probably going to go for the oath.
I've been slacking on the card updater, so
He's such a slacker.
yeah. Well, Fell was commenting in the chat about not banning Landstill. I mean, one of the other decks was Stasis, so I mean, they're not that different, I guess, in terms of what they do. So it's kind of like pick your poison.
And just to clarify in the chat too, we don't know which deck was banned necessarily.
Do you want to
It
check
could
on
have been
that?
Stasis or Enchantress. Yeah, I can pull that up. Hold on, I'll do that real quick. So players could ban one of the other 3 decks, folks, just so you know. So it was either Stasis or
Or
oh no,
Reanimator?
no, Robin's got it. Robin put it in there. Stasis and Enchantress. Thanks,
Okay.
Robin. So it looks like yeah, so you were right in
Yeah.
terms of the Enchantress.
Let's keep score, chat. Let's see how well. I'm only saying that because I got the first one right. That's it.
It's always competition.
Yes. Well,
Can't just sit back and have a good time. Someone's got to win this match, and someone's got to win the deck predictions.
yes. So another land tax comes down, but I mean, there's a finite number of basics that Andrew can get. I guess the synergy other than that would have been just shuffling with scroll rack, but since that's been taken out with the seal of cleansing,
So Jerry Guy says, I don't think Neshoba gets any counters if humility is already in play. Is that true? I mean, does it enter the battlefield with the counters on it? Is this like a Blood Moon situation where it just enters as a 1/1 regardless? Or does it still get the counters?
I don't know. I'm not a judge. It says the old version. I don't know if it's
The
errata,
Oracle?
but it says
It,
comes into play with 7 counters.
yeah, the Oracle says enters the battlefield with 7+1/+1 counters.
You probably need to look up humility. I don't know. A timely lotus petal for Andrew. Oh, look at that
Yes,
burst
yes.
of mana. I guess it might help him to cast Phantom Nishoba a turn early. Did the Oh no, I was to say I wasn't sure if that factory attacked, but I guess that cast the seal of cleansing. Or cast the seal of cleansing. So Aura Silence is coming from Andrew. I think this is a spell you probably want to fight over. Okay, absorb.
I found a ruling from 2005 that says it still gets the counters,
Okay.
but if anybody else has a more updated Google search, let me know.
More scroll racks.
Hmm.
So if you had to
Yeah,
pick
Mike, Mike,
between
Mike Harris says it comes in with the counters as well. That's my, hold on. It was changed recently. Blood Moon Dark Depths, enter with no counters. Okay, so there is an updated ruling potentially. It
interesting.
was like Blood Moon and like the shock lands, they come into play untapped with Blood Moon, technically.
So I guess humility does do a little more. Yeah, that was Patrick saying that, so he would be the one to know, I guess, because he played Oath and Humility and Phantom Nishoba in his green white Oath deck. So
And he'll be playing on Wednesday,
yes.
folks. So tune in. He also has that deck among the 3.
So Andrew sequenced it so he played Aura Silence first, and that got countered, and then he played Scroll Rack. So do you think that was kind of his intention, or if he was
I
just
think, yeah, he's probably gonna. Oh no, I thought maybe he would play a Gaia's Blessing as a follow up because that's if he loses his blessings, he's just out.
well not
Well, not entirely, but I think his chances go way, way, way down if he
sure.
can't blessing cards back.
Yeah, after like the first sequence where Andrew had Oath into Quick Funeral Pyre and that got stifled by, well, not literally stifled, but got Swords of Plowshare, then I think Ron is just kind of in the driver's seat, and as long as he's hitting land drops and card draw spells, I think he should have everything he needs to take out Andrew.
Yeah, he's
As
got the
long as
humility in
as
play.
long as the game actually comes to the natural conclusion.
It may go to time,
Yeah.
folks.
Can you see what his the life totals are at? Is it
Uh,
21? I know
I
I
see 22
Oh,
and
22. I thought I added.
18.
Okay. I thought I added the life from the absorb, but maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So more lotus petals. That's cracking a standstill. That's kind of awkward. I guess Ron tapped out, right? So this is
Yeah, he
giving
stepped
Andrew an
out.
opportunity to do stuff. But I mean, if is Ron really afraid of that much right now? Because I mean,
No.
like, what's the worst that Andrew can do right here? Like cast Phantom Nishoba?
Cast a 1/1 Nishoba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ron triggers Oath and mills his entire deck.
Yeah. Looks like Robin confirmed Patrick's rule as well. So
Right.
we'll keep an eye on the players. And if a Nishoba does come into play and it has counters on it, I'll jump in and let them know.
Okay. I mean, I have to think that that was Ron's understanding because if I don't know why you would take that pile, that small pile with impulse and humility, if you didn't think it worked that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, humility is basically a judge's nightmare.
Well, and so wait a minute. So the aura is gone and the seal's gone.
The aura got countered. Yeah,
So does
and
Andrew have any outs here? Or should he just scoop?
I mean he could try and attack with 1/1s. I don't. He could try and deck Ron. I don't, but yeah, I mean he could maybe trigger Oath with like a funeral pyre, and then I guess not. So then you just have a 1/1. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm. We'll see if and when that happens. If who knows the ruling.
Yeah.
So Mike Harris, of course, they don't want to do humility judges corner, but they should. You should. It'd be the
that
most fascinating pre-modcast
it would be
judges corner ever.
it would be the entire episode. I mean, you would not run out of content of things to talk about with it. All right, so Guy's blessing. He's okay. That resolves. So I mean,
Okay.
he's putting those cards back. Is he? What's this third card? Funeral pyre. I mean, I think I just
Yeah.
would just choose two. I don't. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I guess you want to draw funeral pyre right now.
I mean, he's got a scroll rack, so I mean, he could potentially
I mean, he does he have
get a.
three? I thought he had three in the main. So he still has other ones in his deck.
He still does, but he could scroll rack into a pyre and a seal, or so, and do both in the same turn.
Sure.
Ron could still swords to plowshares his own creature, or even Wrath of God if he had to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a guarantee, but there's hope.
Yeah. At this point, Ron has 7 cards in hand, and I mean, okay.
There it is. Did he draw? I wonder if he drew it off the blessing. He probably had one in his hand to be fair, but that would be kind of awesome.
I mean, I don't know if I would want one if I had one in my hand, but I don't know. The way that Andrew can win is he still has Guy's blessing, so if those are resolving, he can shuffle back in the Aura Silence and the Seal Cleansing that we just saw. He can get rid of Humility and then hope that his Oath will trigger.
Yeah, it's a long shot for sure. This is most likely Ron's game.
Okay, so there's another factory. I mean, is he thinking about attacking with one of the? No. Ooh, a powder keg. So that's a way to get rid of the token. Is he?
Oh yeah.
He better attack with it first.
Just gonna message the players and let them know there's 40 minutes left in the round.
This powder keg not only takes it take out the spirit, it gets the lotus petal too.
It does get the pedal. Did he sack it?
He's he the powder keg, yes. The lotus petal should be gone. I guess we're backing up. Or did yeah, why is there a token again? Also those are the tiniest tokens. Alright, now it's gone.
All right. Yeah, I messaged him. Cool.
So at this point, would you I guess it depends on how many counter spells you have in your hand. Are you just chipping away with the factories or are you gonna wait? I mean, I guess you don't really want to cycle to create justice unless you know you're gonna kill him the next turn. And
Yeah.
Andrew does have probably like a million moments piece because he has four in his main deck, right?
Yeah, he has 4 moments piece.
So he's probably going to be have access to one of those at some point because he's going to draw one and it's a safety of. I mean, Ron might have just two counter spells for it, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I think and again, we don't know what's in Ron's hand, but I think I start attacking with at least one factory every turn.
Sure. I mean, it depends on how many counter spells you have, because if it's a difference of like, oh, I have two or three counter spells, and if I have one less because of attacking with the factory, it might be, oh, I'll just wait until I draw one or two more lands.
No, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. It definitely depends. Fell. Everybody created 3 decks before we started the league, and those deck lists were shared. But the 3 decks had to be different archetypes. All right, Mike's got it. And then one of their 3 decks can be stricken from the eligible decks to be played that night by their opponent.
Yeah. So Ron and Andrew looked at the decks that their opponent could potentially bring, and they banned one of them. So Ron ended up banning Andrew's blue green Enchantress deck, and Andrew banned the Stasis deck of Ron, and so they're able to pick from one of the two remaining decks.
Yeah, fell. So like you couldn't run different versions of Dreadnought. You couldn't run, different versions of Reanimator or Oath. Like if there's a key card that drives the deck, then you can't use it in more than one deck.
And we just kind of implemented that rule to um, have a little bit more variety, I guess, in the decks, other than having
Yeah.
like someone who really loves Stifle Knot to just play three different versions or something. Three different versions of Oath.
Yes. Or Storm.
Yeah.
Mike Hoyp.
I probably wouldn't
Looking
play.
at you.
I probably wouldn't
Looking
play.
at you.
I don't know if I have a third Storm deck right now. Oh, I do. Okay,
Yeah.
I definitely have three Brain Freeze decks that I can play, but I don't know. I feel like there's probably at least one player playing Gaia's Blessing in Andrew, so I don't know how good Brain Freeze would be against those decks, but no one registered Astral Slide.
Alas.
Well,
So
the one
I'm
thing that's
sorry,
kind
go
of
ahead.
interesting because the you might be able to play certain decks that you wouldn't normally play in a tournament because of the ban system. If you have decks, and I don't know if it's better just to pick 3 solid decks and then always just have a good deck to pick, or if you want to say like, okay, I'm going to take this deck that's really good against certain decks. Like Slide is a little bit better against the aggro decks, but it struggles against the combo decks. And it actually has a shot against some of the control decks. Like if you resolve a Lightning Rift, you can deal damage. But it's just really hard to go through all the permutations of, if this gets banned, what do I want to do? So I feel like most of the time it's just easier to say, I'm just gonna pick 3 solid decks, and I'll deal with it when they ban it. Would you take a different approach, or what would you do?
It's a good question. I mean, I think I'd probably create one deck that was new, just to kind of like try it out and maybe, showcase it a little bit. And then I would have one deck that is a very specific kind of archetype, like a control deck, and then I would probably have one really fast deck like Sly or something, and then just roll the dice and see what people decided to play against. That being said, Michael knows I'm a combo player, so I would probably just have 3 combo decks, to be honest.
All right, looks like Ron is getting aggressive. Oh, oh, well, what would he have to wait for?
Um,
What would Andrew want to do right now?
I don't know. We haven't seen a moment's peace in the
Yeah,
graveyard.
I mean,
No,
you let him attack if you have a moment's peace.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Looks like Robin cheated our system.
all right, attacking for 4 with the factories. So I don't know if that Lotus Petal should have been gone, but a moment's peace is coming down.
I think that was a new Lotus Petal.
Okay,
Like he did discard the one that was in play
all right.
when
So
when the attack resolved.
okay, so moment's peace will fog the attack for 4. But I mean, sure, it's not like Andrew's going to untap and punish Ron from this point. The same thing's just going to happen next turn. Andrew's going
Yeah.
to basically gain 4 life, and then 5 turns after that. Well, there's probably going to be more moments peace, but Ron's just going to be able to attack with these 2 for a
Yep.
while.
Chat enthralled with the action. So we're coming up on the halfway point. We're almost 30 minutes in.
Yeah. So
For those of you in the chat who may not be part of the Premodern Online monthly group, we do have there's a Facebook group that's run by Andrew Walker, monthly tournaments, and those games have no time limit. So this is interesting in that this is maybe one of the first Premodern tournaments that a lot of these folks have played in that actually does have timed rounds.
I think the tournament this weekend will as well.
Right. Yep. It definitely will.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in terms of stasis, I think actually stasis is faster than a lot of these matchups because it tends to kill quicker. I feel like you just kind of get them in a spot where they can't do very much, or they it comes to a spot their mana becomes tapped, and then they have a few cards that matter, and stasis almost always have counter spells for those, so it's usually pretty quick, at least in my experience. But I don't know.
No, I mean, again, if you're more experienced, it always helps. But again, I think you're right. It's pretty linear, right? Like I have to do things to keep my stasis in play
Mm-hmm.
and prevent the opponent from disrupting that. And it's just draw go a lot of the time. Versus decks that have a lot of decisions every single turn, which definitely stuck up more time.
So Impulse was played by Ron.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what cards he like really wants. Is it just so an
Land.
Aura Silence came down. Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be more factories, lands, or disenchant effects.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, most of his cards just seem fine. I mean, is there any worry of that, like, Ron decks himself?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's got Decree, right? So at some point he's
Sure.
just going to go all in on it, but he has to do it. He has to do it early enough to be able to continue to play it out.
Yeah, because
But
I
he's
mean,
got,
he's cracked 2 standstills and played a Factor Fiction, right?
Yeah, he's got 3 decrees though. So I
True.
mean, he could decree for 4 or 3
Well, then
and
you're
just
triggering
start.
both.
I'll deal with a 1/1
Sure.
with no abilities.
All right.
I think it's worth it. Or wait, is the humility gone? Where's
No,
the
it's
humility?
still there. It's it's on Ron's side.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. I'm like looking at Andrew's cards like an idiot.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just get the kinks out on the first night. Next time it'll be better, folks. I
All
promise.
right.
For those of you who watch the Gauntlet videos that Mike and I do, you'll know that in more casual environments, I don't necessarily pay enough attention.
That's why I'm there, so I can tell him what to do, so he can beat me.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Scroll rack from Andrew. Dig, dig, dig.
All right. So, I mean, if you're Andrew, what are you looking for?
Game 2.
Yeah. Well,
I love the guy, but game 2.
yeah.
I mean, and looking at his sideboard, I mean, I think he's got way more game after board.
Does he get a lot of different options that are better?
Yeah, he's got Salvo's Web. He's got Defense Grid. He's got Back to Basics.
All right.
He's got Choke. Um, so there's more must counters
Sure.
from Ron, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I mean maybe the theory is, well, I don't know. I mean, you might be able to win those games quick, but I don't. I mean, from these points, it's kind of like you need to think, okay, how am I going to win, or what do I need to do, and then just like execute those plans. Because if you're just kind of thinking every turn, and
Yeah.
and not having a plan, it's you're just going to take too long. You need
Yeah.
to say, okay, this is my plan. I'm going to go for it and start moving on.
Yeah. It's either consistent with the game plan or it's not.
Yeah.
Whatever you scroll rack into, whatever you draw, whatever you decide to play. Looks like we're at 18 viewers.
All right.
Not bad for the inaugural night. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Are two of those people us though? I don't know. I don't.
Probably, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
Maybe one at least is me.
And five of the other, I just have alternate Twitch accounts that I just have logged in. So
Nice. All right, let's see. So what life totals do you have? It looks like Andrew might actually be at 13.
oh, see, that's one thing that's your job is to announce
I
this.
know, I know. I've been slacking.
I guess he got it in a hit with two factories. I guess. Is there only one factory
It's
left?
20.
What happened to the other one? Because the Orosauros is
Uh,
still there. Man, I've not been paying attention. All right, so one factory's coming in. That one
all
connects.
right. So 11 and Ron's at 21.
Okay.
There's a standstill.
How many standstills have you played? I think that's what Andrew just asked.
Yeah. So Kevin, well, also known as Robin, that's throwing me off. Iridescent Angel and Hope doesn't draw.
The Wrath of God.
I mean, do you board out the Wrath of God? I guess you don't.
I mean, depends. I guess it depends on the sideboard. I mean,
Yeah.
you definitely keep in the Swords of Plowshares.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Depends on how many like disenchant effects you have.
Yeah, maybe you keep in one or two. Ron's got a lot of, well, not a lot, but he's got additional removal. So he's got a Seal of Cleansing in the board. He's got an Aura of Silence, and he's got a, what is it? It's Odyssey. It's destroy all enchantments, but if you have Threshold, you get to put yours back into play. I always forget the name of that card.
Cleansing meditation.
Cleansing Meditation. Yeah, he's got that as well. He's also got Null Rods. I mean, I guess it's probably not worth bringing in against the Scroll Rack. Probably not. But
No.
Tormod's Crypt. Tormod's Crypt is very good against Andrew.
Yeah.
I would just let him Oath if you have a Swords, and then Crypt and Swords.
I mean, he's still got. I mean, maybe he cuts down on creatures. That's like, do you need 4 Phantom Nishobas in your deck? I don't know.
Against the Swords? Against Swords,
Well, I
probably.
mean, just in general. I mean, like, what's the advantage? It just seems like you're more likely to draw it then. Like, I feel like I would want to have 3 or 2.
So Robin's talking about a friend of his who actually runs Dust Bowl and Manlands in the Oath deck for situations like this. Not a bad idea against control.
I think Andrew's playing like 5 different basic lands. He has island and mountain, and I mean, maybe you could
Yeah,
make the mana work with
yeah. He's
Dust
got
Bowl, but
4 forest, 1 mountain, 1 plains, or excuse me, 1 mountain, 1 island, and 4 plains.
yeah. All right. So, do you know how many cards are in Andrew's hand?
I do not
All
know.
right.
I mean, I think if you're Ron at this point, you take a look at the clock and you say, okay, we've got 23 minutes left in this round. I want to get a decree in play and just start swinging in every turn.
I mean, I feel like Ron is. I mean, if he's fine with this game continuing, I don't feel like there's very many ways he can lose.
I just don't want. I wouldn't want to go to a draw
Well,
if
I
I
mean,
were Ron.
I mean, Ron's been playing fine. I mean, what is he supposed to do? Like, he's not supposed to concede. I mean, so that Aura Silence is just staying in play. Like, what is he just waiting to trigger Oath before he uses it on Humility? Why is it not using it on the Mishra's Factory? I guess, what is the Aura Silence doing?
I think he's saving it for the humility.
All right. Does Ron have Stifle in his list?
That's a good question. No, he doesn't.
Okay. Because that would be a reason if he was playing Stifle just to use it right away.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he can get it back in any way. And it just gives him more likely to draw the Stifle if that were the case. So this is land tax, scroll rack, shenanigans.
Sylvan Library.
Yeah. But I mean, the kind of thing is like, yeah, you get like a lot of access to a bunch of different cards, but I don't feel like they matter. I don't know. I guess you could get a bunch of funeral pyres. I mean, I can see, I guess, a situation like if you have access to that many cards, that though I mean, if you're using them, you're not going to see that many with. No, I guess if the land text you would. I mean, to like cast multiple funeral pyres and then guys blessing it back after those get removed, and you can almost do like that
Here's
every
the decree.
turn. All right.
Yep.
It was just for 3.
Yep.
Interesting.
Nice. So what? Ron's got a swords in his hand for the Nishoba.
Or he's just, yeah, I don't know.
That's my guess. He's got a swords. And he wants to swing and a counter spell maybe.
I mean, he could be willing to like trigger Oath and then Wrath of God or something. I don't know. It
That's fair.
it's just like a lightning bolt to your face. That's what he's using.
Yeah.
Uh,
So for those of you in chat, I'm curious, if you're Andrew in this position, do you scoop? Do you scoop it up?
I mean, I feel like
I,
at this point I wouldn't. I mean, maybe a bunch of turns otherwise before I would have, but I mean, if you're at this point, and I was like, I don't feel like that much has changed from Ron's perspective. It's like if
yeah.
you weren't conceding before, I wouldn't concede now, I guess. But I guess I would be looking to just to get a bunch of funeral pyres in my hand, and put to try and hope that I can resolve an oath trigger.
So he's probably going to get in for 5 here, right?
Well,
And then
yeah. I
Roman's
mean,
piece,
there might be a moment's peace here. Yeah.
counter spell.
I mean, it's just if you're just I guess the timing of that decree just seems kind of weird to me. Of like only doing it for 3. Like I feel like I would just wait and then can you like how close are you to getting 9? 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I feel like I would just want to get 2 more lands and then have a million counter spells and then just try and counter every single moment's piece that Andrew played. But
If Ron has 2 swords to plowshares in his hand, though, I guess he needs 3 technically. Wait, has he played any sword? No, he swords one of his own tokens, right?
yeah, right away. Well, so there's 2 oaths in play, so they're both going to trigger and they're both going to resolve. If he
Yep.
only had one creature, they would both go on the stack, but then the second one wouldn't resolve.
So he's got a Wrath of God. He's going to kill the Nishobas, and then he's going to counter the blessing. Is his play. Blessing trigger. You know, the other thing, Mike, here is the trigger, the blessing trigger shuffles the moment's pieces back in as well.
If they haven't been exiled, yeah.
Yeah.
But are you saying is like, so he doesn't have access it? But I mean,
So he can't flash him back from his graveyard.
sure. All right. Well, we've got a Phantom Show in play, and the second one's coming down.
There's the blessing trigger.
There's a Dragon Breath. I guess I'll bring up that one. People might not know that one. That's a way to give the creature haste. So, I mean, I'm guessing he has at least one Swords of Plowshares. No, is Ron conceding then?
Is he really?
I mean, I think so. I mean, 2 of the Phantom Shobas just went into play. I don't know why Andrew would concede from that point. So
Oh, wow.
I guess Andrew proves us all wrong in terms of not conceding. So I guess I just don't understand the Decree of Justice play at the end then.
Yeah, I would have assumed that if he would have had if he was going to go for it, he would have swords
I mean,
in
the
his
only
hand.
other thing I can think of is like if he just forgot about the Aura Silence and he just thought he had humility in play and it was going to stay.
Huh.
All right. So let's.
Okay. Pull it up. Let's talk sideboard.
Okay. Let's go over to the decks. And let's look at the Landstill deck. So, what cards do we think are good? Seal of Cleansing seems pretty good.
Yeah,
Aura
Scylla
of Silence,
Cleansing, Aura of Silence,
Cleansing
Cleansing
Meditation.
Meditation. Those are the three absolutes, I think.
What cards are bad?
Um,
You might be able to take out a Decree of Justice, a Wrath of God, or two, or all three. But I feel like all the other cards are good. I think Powder Keg is fine. It's a way to answer.
yeah,
Though, I mean, I don't know if, since we know the deck lists, that um, if the game becomes less about like Oath, it becomes more about those sideboard cards. So let's go over
I, I
to.
think I think I take out two Wrath of God and one Decree is what
Okay.
I take out.
So defense grid for sure. Tasabo's Web. Back to basics seems good. Choke. I like how the choke back to basics combo. It's just you can have your planes, I guess. Um, are you swapping out either of the creatures? I mean, maybe Iridescent Angel is better than Phantom Neshoba.
Yeah, I think it actually is in this matchup. I mean, humility aside, I think it's a better card because the only way to get rid of it is Wrath of God, right? So, I mean, I think you probably do bring in Iridescent Angel, you bring in Choke, you bring in Back to Basics, you bring in Sabo's Web, and you bring in Defense Grid. But what do you take out?
I mean, moments, some number of moments feast probably, and some number of Phantom Neshobas.
Yeah, he's not really under early pressure, right? It's like Ron has to chip away with a factory or wait. So yeah, I like the idea of boarding out Moment's Peace. Is Worthy Cause worth it here? I mean, is that the response to Swords to Plowshares in case the Neshoba is going to get swords? Is
Interesting.
that even a
I
thing?
um I mean, that's not an interaction that I thought of, and it definitely gives some merit to the card, but it's kind of like, I don't know. At that point, if you're like, maybe, it just seems like it's just going to sit in your hand forever and forever, because it's not like you're triggering Oath that often or reliably against this deck. That Worthy
Yeah.
Cause is just going to rot in your hand. I don't know.
What about Intuition? Would you take out Intuition?
I mean, I guess it's good at getting moments piece, and that's about it. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
That's
why is intuition, I guess, in this list? I mean, is it just
I don't I don't like it in the list, but we'd have to talk to Andrew. But I agree. I think it's for Moments Piece, and so I might take out an Intuition, and maybe three Moments Piece.
yeah?
And then that would leave one more card that you would have to take out, maybe one Neshoba. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Oh, well, they've been playing.
Oh, they're off. All right, we're back at it. Sorry, everybody.
So Oath comes down right away for Andrew. Is Ron gonna counter this?
He is going to 19.
Did he go to 19 or 18? I guess we'll see if it's a counter spell or not. It's a counter spell.
He's going to 18. Yep.
Okay.
Counterspell.
So I'm trying to think. I guess, is there ever a point where you don't want to play turn two Oath? Like, if I guess the defense card is like the only way to kind of like bait out a counter spell, right? From Andrew's perspective.
Yeah.
So I guess that's fine then. Because I mean, sometimes against the counter spell decks is you need to play multiple threats in one turn.
Yep.
Because otherwise, if you just do it on turn two and turn three, then they just tap their mana on both those turns. All right, there's a Tasaba's Web. So is this
Gracefully
web?
balding. I hear you with intuition, but I feel like Enlightened Tutor is just better.
Well, the thing with intuition is you need to have three copies of one card to get it, and then Ron could just counter it. It's like Enlightened Tutor
Exactly.
is like a little bit less of a deal. I don't know. Plus, it's a lot less mana, and you can get cards that you don't have three of.
Yeah, exactly. I think the intuition's probably there for the Moments Piece. But all right, so Seal from Ron, a web from Andrew, and a land tax. The web's going to be a problem.
Yes. Well, I mean, he played a seal cleansing, so that's his answer.
No, it's not going to work. He's saving it for that oath.
Sure.
Wait, did he untap his
Yeah,
out of card list?
all the abilities add mana.
Yeah. It's who have an ability that's not a mana ability,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's how it's worded. Okay, got it. It's not back to basics.
No.
Second seal. Ooh, wow. Look at that.
So he just left the Tasabu's Web in play. He took out the land tax. Interesting.
Huh.
Is Ron at 17 or 16? Oh, 17. I'm looking at now. I can see it from Andrews. I keep looking at Ron's dice for the life totals when
It's hard to see.
Andrews are a little easier to see.
Yeah.
I guess the ankle sometimes is hard, whether I can't tell if he's at 16 or 17.
All right. So he hits the web.
Okay. There have just been a million Seal of Cleansing Aura Silence in this game.
For those of you who are newer to Premodern, artifacts and enchantments are the most powerful cards in this format. So having removal is really important.
Well, especially like when you have decks that have like blue white Landstill is closer to a deck that is in the main, it has more cards to deal with creatures. Andrew, I mean, has creatures in his deck, but it's not the same way of like a normal deck that would play creatures. So a lot of the cards that are brought in from the sideboard are cards that deal with artifacts and enchantments because that's more of what Andrew's doing.
Mm-hmm. Andrew's at 19.
Okay.
We've got a fact or fiction from Ron here.
All right. In an intuition in response. I don't. Which one came first? I'm not sure.
The fact or fiction, I believe. So there's the intuition. And the other thing I guess we didn't say with intuition is you can obviously get 2 blessings in another card. So you can shuffle your graveyard back in if for whatever reason you're not doing it with the oath.
All right. So 3 funeral pyres.
Interesting.
So he's gonna use it right away because he knows it'll resolve.
Yep.
So what's gonna happen when there's a Swords of Postures in one of these piles? And then Andrew 4-1s it, and Ron takes the 4, and then he has the swords in his hand.
And he has the swords in his hand already.
Like, do you think
there's the sword?
Oh, well,
2
right.
swords. 2 swords.
So, do you double up the swords or you split them? I don't know.
What are the other cards? Standstill, Wasteland, Island.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm always so bad.
If you take the pile of Standstill, he has an Aura Silence. But I guess you also want to attack your factory too. So he takes the Wasteland, Island, and Swords play. I mean, also that the lands could be important to him too. I don't know.
Yeah, he may just want to hit his land drop too.
So.
Tax. Right. Andrew goes to 18.
Put good use to that spirit.
Heck yeah.
He'll take a damage to cast Swords of Postures, and he gains that life back.
Ron should have boarded in his Cabal therapy so he could just sack the spirit, you know? I mean.
Ooh, so a Tormod's picked.
There it is. Okay.
So that's a good way. Well, so he's got to pay 2 for that, right? Because of Aura Silence?
Yeah, he has to pay 2 mana, and he did.
All right.
Yep. All right, so we are coming up on 5-minute warning.
A defense grid is resolved for Andrew.
It's legit.
Well, not resolved, I guess, per se. Okay, it did resolve.
It did resolve. Uh-oh.
So
Ron takes a point.
You gotta like Andrew's spot here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that Andrew's really worried about from this position? I mean, he doesn't have any funeral pyres left. He needs to like resolve a guy's blessing, which I guess is possible because there's a defense grid in play.
Hmm.
A 4 mana standstill due to the aura silence.
Yep.
But at this point, I I mean, who does time favor more?
I don't know. I think this is unless Andrew can oath soon, it this may go to a draw
Why would it go to a draw?
because we only have 5, 4 or 6 minutes left.
So it's 1 game to Andrew and 0 games to everyone else. So
It,
Andrew would win.
Andrew would win. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like Ron's got to find. I mean, he could just play a bunch of lands and then cycle Decree of Justice. All right. Well, Andrew's taking that. I mean, would you use the? So what are you saving the aura silence for?
I think he's waiting to use it on the crypt when he's gonna oath. Maybe. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe he's worried about humility, but I mean, I just feel like that's a way to lose the game though. Is if you just take a bunch of hits from Mishra's Factory, and that puts you in range of dying from Decree of Justice. Also, like Moment's Peace is a lot worse when there's a defense grid in play. So I don't know if he took all of them out, but like it's very unlikely that Andrew will be able to play and flashback a Moment's Peace in one
Hmm.
turn. That's not even considering the Torment script. So I mean, just because of defense grid.
Enlightened tutor. Standstill cracks. So is this end of Ron's turn?
Um, well, Andrew only has 1 mana tapped, so it shouldn't be.
Oh, we played the defense grid last turn, right?
Yeah, I'm just. Is he doing it during his upkeep?
Maybe.
I mean, that would make sense. First of all, it makes Andrew pay less mana, then it makes Ron pay more. Like doing it at the end of Ron's turn. The defense
Yeah,
grid
yeah,
does.
it's got to be his upkeep. Yeah, it's got to be.
He's getting Lotus
Or-
Petal. Is that what he got?
Looks like it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is he want to cast a Phantom? No,
But wait, how?
no. It would have been two
Okay,
more.
that Enlightened Tutor. Okay,
All
well,
right. It technically should have been two more to play that, but
I was thinking of the upkeep. I'm like, that doesn't do anything given that he tapped
he
1
just
mana.
wants to cast a Phantom Neshoba, I think.
All right, well,
Yeah. And
here's
easy counter spell.
a 5 mana counter spell.
Yeah.
I
Gracefully
think
Balding, I think it's pretty reasonable.
Seal of Cleansing or Disenchant effects are good in the
Yeah.
main. Yeah, there are going to be some decks that it might be blanks. It depends on the deck. Like if you're an aggressive deck where drawing that one dead card is bad, I don't like it as much. But in like a blue white deck, it's great because you're going to be drawing a bunch of cards and having access to that is really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew is at 9. Is that what he's at?
Yeah. Iridescent Angel. And the counter?
Mana leak.
Mana Leak. Okay.
So this game might be a draw.
It might be. We'll see. He goes in with the Conclave and the Mishras to hit him to 5. Andrew doesn't have his draw engine, so he's just playing off the top. What's he got?
Oh well,
Ooh.
All right.
Brutal.
Interesting. Back to basics.
Does he have a counter?
I mean, he just used two, so nope.
Yeah. Oh man, 1 minute in the round remaining.
So
Does he have
it
the
was
decree?
decree of justice. All right.
Decree for 4, 5
5.
for 5.
That's what Andrew's at, right?
Yeah. So
So if we'll do this as turn 0.
yeah, this is turn 0. Starting with active player.
All right. Well, then they're not going to start a third game because
Yeah,
we'll
that's a
just.
draw.
Okay. Well, that was. I mean, I guess it was cool that Ron was able to take that kind of right at the end, but um, a little anticlimactic that we weren't able to finish that match. But
Yeah. So I'm gonna let them know we're good here. All
so
right, Ron, Andrew, can you hear me? Ron and Andrew, you there?
Fel, my
Yeah.
name is Michael Hoyp, and then the other person casting is Flint Espo. So we are going to let's. So do we want to get the other players in right away?
Yeah, let's get him in. Let's get him. Let's get the video uploaded or get them into the room.
I will mute you, and I'll just have you
Yeah.
deal with them. And once they're in the room, then
Hey, Ron.
uh,
Hey, Andrew. Good games, guys. 1-1 draw. Really.
okay. So we're gonna get the other two players. So I'll bring our schedule up. So this will show. So we just saw the match between Ron and Andrew, and that finished in a draw. Ron was able to equalize the game right at the equalize games right at the end of the match. So now we have Mike Harris and Michael Arnold are going to be playing the second match. So they're going to be jumping in our room, and once we get them set up, we're pretty much going to start right away. So I'm going to unmute. All right, I have you unmuted, Flint.
Okay, cool. So there was a 1-1 draw. They're out now, and so we're waiting for the next two players to join the room. Here comes Mike Arnold.
Okay, I'm going to mute
Hey,
him
Mike.
right away. Okay.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Oh, I'm going to mute Flint right
Yeah,
now, too, while he gets things set up. So I'm going to bring up the decks for our second set of players.
oh.
Have this and okay. So Mike Harris has brought we'll call it Wug Knot. It's blue, green, white, or Bant Knot, Stifle Knot. And so what this deck is looking to do is cast Phyrexian Dreadnought and then either Stifle or Vision Charm it so that it uses those two cards and then gets a 12/12 Trampler. And the green has a supporting cast of Nimble Mongoose and Werebear, and those are threats that start off small, but then after you've churned through your deck a little bit, they become more formidable, and you can kind of pressure your opponent that way without just relying on the Stifle Knot, which a lot of other color decks do. And it does have Meddling Mage, which can kind of disrupt the card. So if you know they have Swords of Plowshares, which is a good answer to Phyrexian Dreadnought, you can name that. The next card or next deck that Mike has is another Oath deck, but it is significantly different than the one we just saw from Andrew. It has Oath of Druids, and then the target it gets is Cognivore, which its power and toughness are equal to the number of instants in all graveyards. And then a lot of the deck is just blue instants, so it's a counter spell. He's got some white cards in there too for Swords of Plowshares and Enlightened Tutor, but it's mostly like a blue-based control deck with Oath of Druids. His third deck is a Jund Zoo Grow deck, and so this deck is pretty cool. I haven't really seen this list ever before. It kind of has some elements of some zoo decks that I've seen, but the grow aspect comes from Curian Dryad, which is 1 and a green for a 1/1, and whenever you play a red, blue, white, or black spell, so mono green spells would not trigger it, but other colors would. It gets a +1/+1 counter. So it's looking to play that alongside with a bunch of other aggressive creatures and just be aggressive. It has Reckless Charge, which can give creatures haste and 3/3/0 until end of turn. And it's just an aggressive zoo deck, black, green, red. A little bit of disruption with Duress, and then Winter Orb is the other piece of disruption. So if we look at Michael Arnold's decks, so Landstill, this was pretty similar to the deck we just saw Ron play. I guess the biggest difference is it's a little bit more permission heavy. There's 4 absorbs, 3 mana leaks, and 4 counter spells. And he does have Cutting Wish, and then has a sideboard package with Cutting Wish. The next deck he has is Elves. So there are a lot of different ways to win with Elves. You can win with Overrun, you can win with Biorhythm, you can win with Kamal. This deck is looking to win with either Coat of Arms, Overrun, or Natural Order. And the Natural Order target, I think he just has, doesn't look like he has a Vern Force. He just has the Deranged Hermit. So it's kind of almost like a value Natural Order. And then the third deck from Michael is the Angry Ghoul deck, or Angry Hermit. And it has Hermit Druid, which is 1 and a green. And for green mana, it taps and you reveal cards until you see a basic land. And if you look at this list, there are no basic lands in the deck. So it's going to put all the cards in its deck into the graveyard. And from that point, it's able to either reanimate a Sutured Ghoul and kill them right away, or it will cast Corrosion Reclamation and put a couple of those reanimation spells back in your deck, and you'll draw one of those. So let's see. I'm going to check in with Flint and see if...
Okay, cool.
Flint, are you ready to... Are they muted? Are you ready to
go?
Chat?
Oh, you good?
Well, I was going to
All
ask
right,
you
so guys, mute me.
Okay. We'll just...
down, and then I will message the group chat.
Okay. So Flint's just setting up with the players real quick, and we should be starting soon. I'm going to bring up the ban list real quick. Okay, Flint. Do you have them muted? Okay, so...
Hey, Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So,
awesome.
All right, I have them muted. They have us muted. So if you had to guess on bans, what would you be banning?
So they are actually jumping in already.
Okay.
I assumed you were already talking about bannings.
I didn't talk about bannings. I just went over the decks, but we'll just go over to the...
All right. So we got
Awesome.
a Forest from Mike Arnold, and then we've got the Lotus Petal and the Sulphur Springs from Mike.
So it looks like Mike is playing the Jund Zoo Grow deck, so I'm excited to see this deck in action.
This deck is mean. I play tested with Mike Harris a little bit, and this deck's legit good. It's got game against combo, and it's pretty fast.
Okay, so as I get these things updated, let me reset the life totals and stuff. That's probably pretty important.
Probably. So we got a Priest of Titania from Mike Arnold, and we've got a couple. We got a Carnophage and a Sarcomancy token from Mike Harris.
All right. So Elves has been chosen for Michael.
Yep.
So Mogfanac comes down, and that takes out Priest. So with the Elves not having a 1-drop, and That's like pretty much poison. And then for Mog Fanatic taking out its 2-drop, this is kind of rough shape for Michael.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's rough.
So
But a Tangle Wire, it's a nice follow up.
yeah, but not when you're behind on board, I guess. So Michael's at 16 and Mike is at 18. Okay. So Jackal Pup comes down, so he's able to play more to the board. So yeah, unfortunately for Mike, you cannot tap enchantments with Tangle Wire. Uh, let's bring up a Tangle Wire. So that's gonna slow things down, but it's almost just beneficial for Mike in that sense. Okay. So we're at 10.
Yeah, 10 for Mike Arnold, 17 for Mike Harris.
So now that Mike has like a board presence, he doesn't have to. He can just tap his lance instead of the creatures and just attack, attack, attack. As compared to
Yep.
like sometimes you need to tap your creatures so you can play more spells on the board. But Mike's cards are just so cheap that he was able to kind of like still tap down a few permanents and play a Jackal Pup, and now he's got enough of a board presence that he's comfortable attacking. So I think with this, so with this Llanowar Elf, you're not blocking the Jackal Pup. I
Maybe he's
probably
got a
would block.
Range Tournament
All right,
in his hand.
all right. So Kyrian Dryad, not the ideal time for that one, but
No.
it's something that can tap the Tangle Wire, I guess. I mean, he's probably got other spells. I don't know how many cards Mike still has in hand.
If he's got the Hermit, I mean, he's got to play it, right? Oh no, another elf? 3, 4.
Ooh, a
Natural
natural.
order.
So okay, so he does have the deranged hermit. Just
Yeah,
took
yep.
another
I mean,
step.
that's his out. And he can pay the Echo next turn, provided there's not a bolt or something.
All right, so
Some squirrels to the rescue.
yes, Hermit Druid's gonna come down with 4 friends, and that's
You called it a Hermit Druid. So Michael always gives me a
okay.
hard time because I call it a Hermit Druid. But
Yeah, no, I think you call it Hermit Druid a deranged hermit. I think is what you did, but maybe not.
no, no. I call everything a Hermit Druid
Okay.
just because it's my favorite Druid. Okay, so what do we got?
So the Tangle Wire
Cradle.
is at 1.
Yeah, it's on 1. Just
So
gotta tap 1 permanent here.
he's thinking about what he wants to tap. I mean,
Bolt the Deranged Hermit and swing in with the team.
I don't think I'd be saving Bolt for Michael's face. I don't, because if you're attacking, I guess. I mean, I would swing him with a team if I had Bolt, and then have him line up blocks, and then I would Bolt the deranged hermit.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna cast Bolt on deranged hermit, I might save it. I guess how many? I'm trying to think how many burn spells, because it's kind of like you would if you had Bolt, then you need to either draw another Bolt or another Mog Fanatic, or what other reach cards. I don't think there's that many cards for him to like get direct damage in his list. Do you have his list up?
Yeah, Mike Harris, he's got 4 Mog Fanatics, 4 Lightning Bolts, and those are his direct damage
Yeah.
options.
Okay. So if he had a Bolt in hand and he's already used a Mog Fanatic, then he would need to draw one of those 6 remaining cards.
Yeah.
And there's no Well Wisher in Michael's main deck, right?
Or his sideboard, no.
Okay. So there's not too much of a downside in waiting if you do have a Bolt in your hand. Is Mike still thinking? He's thinking what he wants to do?
Yeah. Which deck would you have banned of Mike Harris's, do you think?
Of Mike's, I would have banned probably his Stifle Knot deck. You could actually. Well, I'm trying to think. So from Mike's perspective, I would think if I'm from Michael's perspective, I would think that my Hermit Druid deck was going to get banned, and his remaining deck was Elves and then Landstill. Yeah, I think
Gotcha.
I would ban the Stifle Knot deck. And if I were Mike, I would have banned the Hermit Druid deck.
If I were Michael, I think I would have banned this Jun Zoo deck because it's got game against creature decks, including Hermit Druid. And if I were Mike Harris, I think I would have banned Landstill.
Okay. Do you have what the actual bans were?
I don't. Um, one of the guys in chat, Jared, Robin, which decks were banned? You let us know.
So is that an overrun? Wow. That's a way to steal the game. All right. So overrun has been cast, and he's attacking with 4 squirrels and a deranged hermit.
Yep.
So those are.
Is he bringing in the Finhorn Elf as well?
I thought that was tapped to cast overrun because I think Kaya's Cradle was used to pay upkeep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Oath and Landstill were banned. So neither of
So
them are great.
I was right on Landstill. That's I
Okay.
said Landstill. So tie game.
Is that how it works? All right.
That's right. One where it's a net. Okay, so that's game. Scoops him up. Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have expected the elves to win from that position, but that was
No, I was wondering because like he had all that untapped mana. He had one card in his hand. His only out was really Overrun. If he had a Coat of Arms, he would have played it. And so Overrun was the best card to have in his hand at that point.
all right. Let's
Um,
jump back to decks and we can look at sideboarding quick.
okay, sounds good.
So if we go to, I have the elves deck up. I think, are there any bad cards? I guess the nothing seems particularly bad. I mean, maybe Coat of Arms is too slow, but that might be the card. But or maybe cut like a natural order. But I think I'd be bringing Caller the Claw. I mean, I guess Masticore too. Here's a card I would bring in. What do you think you'd want to bring in?
I'd want to bring in the Masticores. They could be too slow, but I think those would be good. And maybe Color of the Claw. I don't know. Like it's tough with Color of the Claw because you got to lose multiple creatures in one turn, but maybe
Sure.
it's worth it just to slow
Yeah, I guess
Mike
it's
down.
not like Mike has any sweeping effect. I was thinking if there's just ways that he'd be able to like ambush, but there's not really any way for him to like sack his guys. So I guess yeah, Call the Call really doesn't do that much. All right,
But
I'm
Masticore
off
requires
Call
a
the
lot of
Claw.
mana. All right, so what's the next one?
So the this let's see. So there's 3 Tormod's Crypt, 1 Warmth, 2 Absolute Law, or is it Absolute Grace? I think it's Law, the one that gets pro red.
Yeah, it's Law.
Diabolic Edict, Terminate, Sulfuric Vortex, and Naturalize.
So I think I bring in the Diabolic Edicts and the Terminates to see if I can slow him down, and I maybe bring in one Naturalize, maybe two against Oath.
I would not bring in
Or
Diabolic
not
Edict,
Oath.
but
No, you think Edict's too slow?
I think it's not going to
Gives
get
him
what
too
you
many.
want enough, I guess.
Fair.
I think I would take out 2 Winter Orb and bring in.
Terminate.
You might make the argument that Sulfuric Vortex is better. Sulfuric Vortex is better. But
Maybe.
I think the reach might be more important. I'm like, because individually, I mean, I guess Terminate's okay. It's just that you're spending 2 mana to kill I mean, you're never really like trading up with terminate.
I mean, I think I like Naturalize the most because it hits Tangle Wire and it hits Coat of Arms, and Tangle Wire is a way for Mike Arnold to delay the game long enough to go wide enough to win.
I mean, I think I don't like it to fight Tanglewire. I think it's fine to fight Coat of Arms, and it happens
And Masticore,
to be good against Tanglewire. But Naturalize is not a card. Like if he just had Tanglewires, I would not be bringing in any number of Naturalize.
yeah.
Because it
But
just
Tangle Wire and Masticore and Coat of Arms.
yeah, I think it's fine. But I mean, like, yeah, it's I just don't want to like react to a card like Tanglewire like that way because it's. I mean, yeah, if you have it, it's nice, but there's just other times when you draw it and it's just
It's dead,
yeah.
completely dead.
But I don't know. We'll see
So
if we'll be
what
able to
would
see
you
any
go
of
with?
the sideboard cards. What
Two
was it?
terminate, two terminate, one naturalize.
I wouldn't bring in Naturalize, but
Ah, we'll see what they do.
all right. I don't know if this was their opening or if they're mulliganing, but
Looks like Mike Arnold's set.
all right, chat. So who do we think is going to win this game? Is it going to go to the Zudak? Who is on the play? It was Michael was on the play that last game, right?
Y-
Because he went
Michael Arnold.
turn forest. He went turn one
Or
forest.
Mike Harris. Mike Harris was.
Oh, he was.
Or no, Michael Arnold was.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah,
me.
I thought so.
There's
So
too many Michaels in this kitchen.
yes, there are a lot. That's why one's Mike, one's Michael, and then I'm the other one. So
I'm the other Michael. Hoip.
I'm the Cloud
Everybody's
Goat
gonna start
Ranger.
calling me Hoip.
All right, we got a fan of the Jun deck.
I see that.
So they're cheering loud. No one's cheering for Elves, which Flint says is always the good guy.
It is.
Elves is not the good guy in this matchup.
Forces of good.
I mean,
I would say so. I would say so.
Okay, so
sure.
like anytime a deck is like somewhat rogue, it's like much more likely to be the good guy. And
I would agree with that. But elves is like the epitome of good.
all right, well maybe we can have chat sound off, but
We'll need to do polls in future.
I-
In future streams, we'll do polls.
I disagree. All right, City of Brass and a Jackal Pup is Mike's turn one, and a Lana Rolf is the response for Michael.
Solid first turn play.
Yeah, both of these decks are green though. I don't know if you consider Mike a green deck, but
I do not.
is he closer just to a red deck?
Yeah. It's closer to a red-black deck.
Someone was saying green is the best color in Magic, so
Not in Premodern.
I agree there.
Sorry.
All right, so all right, Bolt takes out the Lana Rolf so that the Jackal Pup can get in. So I guess you have to think that he doesn't have any other 2-drops, because otherwise I feel like I would play Mog Fanatic to kill the Lana Rolf and then play a different 2-drop as compared to. Do you like using Bolt to kill the Lana Rolf as compared to Mog Fanatic?
I don't know. I mean, probably not. Maybe you'd want to attack first because maybe you're going to use it on the next elf
No, I'm saying
anyway.
the turn before.
Oh,
He used
Maybe he drew
Bolt on the elf. No, he played them both in the same turn. I think I would have Mog Fanatic the elf and saved the Bolt.
gotcha.
But I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, if he didn't have any other drops, then maybe. But
Maybe.
So Mog Flunkies comes down. Let's bring up the Mog Flunkies. That guy doesn't always get played in all the decks, so it's always good to see him when he comes around.
Indeed.
But it's cool that you have like Mog Flunkies with Reckless Charge that you just might not expect just a chunk of 5 damage coming out of nowhere. I mean, most of the time I think Michael's gonna have a creature run a block, but against a lot of the other decks, it might be a surprise.
Agreed. Yeah, it was cool to see him trying it out in this list. I'll be curious at the end of the league if he decides he wants to keep it or not, depending on the number of times he gets to try it. So many one drops in this deck, though. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's only running 2, though, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So
Another bolt.
lightning bolt for the Priest of Titania.
Pretty strong.
So I'm guessing. I think I would use the Mog Fanatic after combat to kill the Ranger. Just keeping.
I probably would as well. Just keep him off the elves. Keep him off
Yep.
the creatures,
All right.
the cradle.
So.
Yep.
All right. So Michael goes to 9. And he has the board presence, so he just says go. So he, well, I mean, Michael only has 2 mana right now. The guy's cradle's not making anything. And coming in for 5.
It's not looking good for elves.
We might never know if there's a naturalize or not. Oh, this might be a sulfuric vortex. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
All right.
That's why you bring in the naturalize, though, right? I mean, it's just
Wait.
another card.
You were talking about Mike bringing in naturalize, the zoo deck bringing in naturalize. Are you going to naturalize your own sulfuric vortex?
Yeah, things get out of hand. Has that never happened to you? Have you never died to your own sulfuric vortex like some of us have on camera?
I'm sure I have. I don't think I have in Premodern, but I think like in cube drafts or something, I'm sure I've died to sulfuric vortex.
So pretty quick, pretty solid games. Be curious to see if they board it all in between based on play draw. I'm guessing probably not, but
it doesn't look like it just by looking at their hands and how quickly they went to shuffling again. But there might be. I mean, I don't know. I think naturalize is a little bit better on the draw. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I still probably wouldn't bring it in. All right, so now we've split games and Michael's on the play.
Yep.
Do you think he's advantaged?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's close. I think it really just comes down to how much removal Mike Harris draws.
And
like
his
Fanatics
list does not have that much. Like in the main deck, it's just 4 bolts, 4 Mog Fanatic, and then he.
But if you bring in 2 terminates,
I mean, he potentially could bring out Diabolic Edict, but
I think you're right. I think terminate's better than Edict because you get to decide which one. And in a go white deck like elves, targeting probably is important.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Edict's just so much worse against a Deranged Hermit, right?
Sure.
All right. We off?
I'm not sure.
It's like Mike Arnold's taking a look at his hand and trying to decide if he wants to keep it. I'm assuming Mike Harris is good.
We've got Force of Nature against Necropotence.
Necropotence always wins.
Well, I feel like Necropotence has a pretty good advantage against the Force of Nature.
Worst card in Ice Age, everybody.
Someone said that once.
They did.
It was an Inquest or something.
I think it was Inquest, yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny, like, there's one thing of, like, saying that the card's not good, but to say that, like,
it's the worst card.
It's the worst card is a pretty dramatic clip, so.
All right, actually, Mike Harris is gonna take a mulligan here, it looks like.
Have you read the spoiler for Ice Age? There's like a million cards that just don't do anything, or just have like 8,000 words on them, and no one still knows what they do because nobody took the time to read them.
It might very well be the most verbose set in all of Magic.
Let's
And it's huge too. There's so many cards in it.
hold on. I'll just bring up a random card. not a random card, but look at this. Look at this. Look how small the text is. No one can read that on stream.
Let me see. Bring up. Oh yeah, Melee. Bring up Ice Cauldron.
Well, yeah, that one's pretty like notorious for being like. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try and explain. They did talk about this on a podcast of All Things Considered. They were talking about this card being played in. I can't remember the name of the format, but it uses Ice Age alliances. I think it's just those two sets.
It's Alice.
Alice, yeah.
Yeah, Alice is cool.
AL.
Like I'm on some Alice Discord groups, and I've got a couple decks I'm working on. I just want long, grindy games with lots of text. There it is. Jared mentions Ice Cauldron. All right, so I think Mike Harris has taken a second mulligan, by the way.
Well, then I definitely like Michael's spot there.
Yeah, on the play. Whew.
There's not as much text on this card as I thought. Naked Singularity, but
yes. I've thought about that deck in that card in Premodern, and then I quickly decided it's not worth the time or the effort. But
I
cool
don't know.
card.
Do you know what
Like
cumulative upkeep is?
Never heard of it.
Also, cumulative upkeep 3 is a lot. Like, there's one thing of paying like
it's only 3 the next turn.
Sure.
What are you talking about?
When I first learned to play, what was this? Here, I didn't have. I don't know how I acquired this one card, but this was the one Ice Age card that I played when I was young. I thought cumulative upkeep was just upkeep, so I just played blue to have a 7/4.
Oh, the illusionary wall. Nice.
But so yeah, that's a card that I remember. Just
all right, upkeep. Robin. To be fair, Glacial Chasm has cumulative upkeep, and it is definitely playable in Premodern in the right deck.
You could make an argument like Mystic Remora is playable.
It could be, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Findor Mel's comes down.
Yeah,
another Ice Age card. So, Mike will take a damage to cast a 2/2. So he went down to 5.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Stairwell. Yes, Stairwell, Robin. Absolutely. Such a good card. I love the Zombies deck, by the way, Robin. Been playing it for fun in a lot of playtesting matches with the Showdown series guys. Really, really fun deck to play. Love it.
Dystopia, that's a cumulative upkeep card.
Dystopia is great as well. Illusions. Yeah, Illusions not. I'd love to see an Illusions deck actually work. So somebody break it with Academy Rector or something. Okay, so what do we got? We got 2 Finherd Elves and a Priest for Mike Arnold.
The Carnophage got through. Michael did not block it, and then he played a Kyrian Dryad.
Oh, God. Oh my.
So Mike played 2 mana for a 1/1, and then Michael paid 5 mana for 5 1/1s.
Yeah, Robin, anytime you want to play test, you let me know. Not looking good for Mike Harris. He's got all those pyroclasms in the sideboard, right? Yeah. Right? Oh.
You could play Tremor right here. That'd be really good. How good would Tremor be? Very good. That's the answer.
What's the other one? Is it Simoon? It's like one.
Simoon,
it's like,
yeah, that'd be a card, I guess.
That would work. Hey, 90s MTG rating with a party of 25. Welcome to the Premodern Showdown series.
We're probably not going to be on very much longer because things have not gone well for the Jun Zhu deck, but welcome everyone.
Jun Zhu is probably not going to make it. This is game 3 of our second match for the night, second and final. Tune in with us on Wednesday as well. So what do we got?
Well, the thing you don't really want to follow up Kyrian Dryad with is just a single another Kyrian Dryad.
Yeah, Mike Harris scooping it up. Oh wow, what a quick match. So elves on the play, really good hand, and that's gonna do it.
All right. Well, so we'll go back to the deck lists for um, those who just tuned in, so they can kind of look at what just happened, I guess. So this was the deck that Mike was playing. This is the deck that lost, but it's kind of like the spicy meatball, a spicy meatball for pre-modern. Zoo isn't that popular, and this is like a different take on Zoo. And so you said you played Mike a little bit with against this
Yeah,
deck. So
yep,
your impressions of it were pretty good.
pretty good. Like if you're running a mid-range deck or a combo deck, especially combo deck, it's really good against combo decks, and it's decent against some mid-rangey slower decks. But I mean, these go wide strategies like elves, which makes me think that goblins would also be pretty good against it as well. Maybe I'm wrong. But I like it. I like the design a lot. I like the disruption. I like the removal. I like the fast creatures. I think Mike Harris has done a nice job in terms of the brew here.
Yeah. And then the elves list that Michael's playing. So we've played around with some different versions of elves. I've tried a few things. You played a list that you got from Martin Berlin with biorhythm instead of a
Yep.
coat of arms, and you didn't have natural order. So what do you like or what do you dislike about this elves list?
I think it's good. I don't know about the coat of arms, and I've seen Tanglewire do really well in elves lists, and it's actually a really good card against combo decks. So like when I was running Hermit Druid in the alternate tournament in the April, Tanglewire shut me down. So it's really good against go fast strategies. I think coat of arms it could be a biorhythm. It feels like just another win card.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper than biorhythm, so maybe it's better. But Tanglewire is legit, and I would like to see it in more elves lists because it's that good when you're putting that many permanents into play.
Do you like the natural orders? Because like the only like real target in this deck is deranged hermit, right?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the natural order. You could say it's just hermits, 5 through 8, but in the end, what's what's missing from this list is the acolyte wirewood symbiote combo, which when viewers watch our matches, they'll see like how good that is, and it's a good way to grind out matches in the same way that Goblin Ringleader is a really good way to grind out matches in Goblin match in those matchups. So I actually don't like the absence of that interaction in this deck.
Sure. Yeah, that gives the ability to grind a lot more
Yep.
when things
Or if
don't
you
go
have to
your way.
mulligan, right, which we saw in our videos, like with matches where I had to mulligan down, but you can grind your way back into the game with an acolyte and a symbiote.
I guess so. I guess if I were, I would probably try and play like a Kamal in this list, and that gives something that you would run a natural order, and that could be like a way to finish the game, or maybe a verdant force. I don't know. It just to me when you're only getting deranged hermit, four natural order seems like a lot. The other thing that you this list has a weakness is this list seems pretty soft. I guess you have four coat of arms. I would say it's soft to engineered plague. When usually the plan, I guess, elves is just to play Elvish champion,
Elvish champion, yeah.
but those are a lot easier to respond or like interact with than a artifact. Though coat of arms costs 5 mana, so
It costs 5, the champion's 3, and the champion counts for cradle as well, right? So again, I haven't played this list very much. Mike Arnold has played it a bunch and is pretty happy with it. He obviously won tonight. So it did well tonight, but I don't know. I like the lower casting cost. I think Coat of Arms is a nice addition. I would be interested to see the version of Martin Berlin's Elves deck without the biorhythms and with the Coat of Arms as almost like overruns 5 through 8 to kind of see how that does. But it's weird. I don't like the absence of Acolyte and Symbiote in this list.
when you were talking about coat of arms 5 through 8, we saw Jesse Laidlaw play Gem Palm
Strider.
Strider, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I was really impressed how that card worked, and I really like it just as like a split card in terms of it's a baby overrun, but it's also at instant speed, which could be really relevant. But then it's also just a 2/2 when sometimes you just need an elf or something to fill the curve. And I really like. I think if I were building an elf deck and wanted to go this overrun plan, I think I would be including some number of the Gem Palm Striders. I was really impressed when I saw that card played.
That's totally fair. You can't counter it, right? It's instant speed. And I actually reached out to Martin Berlin and asked him about it when he sent me the list, and he was like, "It could be good. I haven't tested it very much. I'm not sure. You could substitute it if you want." And I didn't end up substituting it and playing with it, but maybe instead of coat of arms in this deck, it's for jump home striders, and so you've got those and the overrun, and maybe that's the best way to go about um, building this deck. I think there's a lot of brew space with elves, even though it seems like a very linear, straightforward deck.
Definitely. So I'm going to bring up the schedule that we have. So tonight we played 2 matches, and our next stream is this Wednesday, where we will have the remaining players of the Showdown series will be playing. So David Daniel will be facing up against Patrick, and Jared Doucette will be playing Robin Lund. So we're going to be starting again at 9:30 Eastern, and so if you guys want to follow the channel or tune in, otherwise we will be getting these to my YouTube channel after a while. So if you can't catch these live, you'll be able to catch the recording. But one other thing I want to bring up is we have some
Oh,
some
Michael,
other
do we
pre-modern
want to unmute them?
resources. What
Do
was
we want to
that?
unmute them? Do we want to like let them chat real quick since they're still here before we do other announcements?
If you want, I guess we can bring them in. Sure, I'll unmute them. Just let them know real quick, I guess.
All right, I'll unmute them real quick so we can chat about it.
Did they ask or did you?
Yeah, they just
Okay.
asked, and I
I'll unmute them.
didn't realize they were still there.
Hey guys.
Yep, we're still there. How's it going?
Hey,
I wasn't
Sorry about
sure if we joined or not. We unmuted you guys and you were in the middle of your own conversation.
Yeah, we had you
So
muted.
we
and-
critiqued your critiques,
Okay.
you know.
All right.
all right, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's an incredibly tough matchup for me. Any sort of go wide strategy is just going to be a loser. So I was really hoping that he would be playing the Angry Ghoul because I have way more ways to fight that.
Okay.
But my other deck, because I'm sure you've looked up by now, he banned my Oath deck, which was by far the one I wanted to play the most against him. And even the Dreadnought is pretty weak against go wide strategies.
Okay.
So it was like, as soon as I saw the forest, I knew my fate might be sealed.
So when you said your deck is the zoo deck is weak against go wide strategies, did you ever consider, were there any cards that would be kind of like decent against those strategies that you could play in your sideboard, or you just kind of say like, I don't have the space, or it won't swing the matchup enough to make it worth it?
Well, I'm considering it now.
Okay.
I think it was more that, and I'm sure you guys pulled up the deck list. I was just telling Mike about this. I really jammed in the anti-red cards, the 3 white cards, Absolute Law and Warmth.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I really wish I hadn't.
Okay.
And I think if I were to play this deck in a monthly, because a sweeper, like a one-sided sweeper like Simoon or something can be really effective against the red decks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I might go with a Simoon.
Okay, so that was the card you think. I was going to ask if you were to pick a pre-modern sweeper, what would it be? I mean,
the problem is there's,
Your own
my
creatures.
deck is also a go wide deck.
Right.
Yeah.
So it either needs to like be not enough damage, because most of your guys are 2 toughness, I guess, and even some of them are 1. So it either needs to just deal damage to your opponents or creatures like Simoon, or
Yeah, I like Simoon a lot.
I mean, I don't know what the other card would be.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything. I mean, maybe like
Tremors
Fire
or something I
Ice.
said, but I mean, I guess Fire Ice. Yeah,
Fire
Fire Ice.
Ice,
You know,
Fire Ice seems better than Tremor.
and that could even be main deckable. And I've got plenty of 5 colors, so I can handle the blue if I needed that. So I would maybe consider that, or Simoon. Can't really think of anything else.
Okay.
Open up to the chat too. I don't know. Sound off in chat too if you can think of ideas.
Do
I
you
like
guys
Simoon.
want to say how you boarded? We weren't sure exactly what cards were coming in, or even what cards were. I guess we were okay.
I guess you guys switched off of the feed
Yeah.
of us because we
Yeah.
put them all
Yeah.
out for
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
We pulled up the deck list, and I guess I wasn't paying attention to what you had out. So
Yeah. You want to go
Yeah,
ahead,
so
Mike?
I boarded in 2 Master Cores and
Mhm.
I boarded in 2 Call of the Claws. And I basically took out the Tangle Wires, just thinking that, in, kind of like a go wide matchup and versus a go wide matchup, it would just kind of even things out. It really wouldn't give me an advantage so much. Kind of, was able to slow things game one. But, again, if that was a business spell instead of a Tangle Wire, I think it would have been about the same outcome.
Okay.
So that was my thinking right there. And of course, Master Course is really, really good against him. It never landed.
Yeah.
He kept me off my. I had a game too, but he just kept me off my mana.
sure.
So, yep, that's my board.
Yeah, that was the reasoning behind getting rid of the Ranger. Was I just wanted that Cradle to be producing nothing.
Yeah. Good play.
And yeah, Color the Claw, it's also good against me because all the bears are 2/2s. So like with all your 1/1s, Mod Fanatic can take that out, but also I have a lot of 2/2s, so you have to like double up if you're going to try and block them.
Mhm.
With all the bears, you can basically block everything I have, and just 1-for-1. So I brought in 2 Sulfuric Vortex that you guys saw close out that game too. 2 Terminate. My creature removal is Diabolic Edict and Terminate, and
Mhm.
Diabolic Edict seems really bad against them.
Yeah.
Especially with the Herald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, please let me sacrifice the Herald.
Yeah, right. And then what was the other one I brought in? 2 Naturalize, 2 of my 3 Naturalize,
Okay.
just because I figured there's a chance it's a dead card. But also, if it takes out a Coda Arms, it could swing the game. It also, if you tap out for your Masticore, I could take it out with the Naturalize. And I didn't think that he was going to take out the Tangle Wires because I was saying that it's actually surprisingly good against me, especially early. Like, I don't have that many permanents. Like, I usually only have like 2 lands out, and then so that'll hold me off in the early game, and that'll give him plenty of time to stabilize, which is all he really needs is just the time to get all the guys out and stop me.
Mhm.
So that's the other reason I brought in 2 Naturalize to try and stop an early Tangle Wire.
He did bring him in. The other thing, I don't know if you guys can see this in chat, but Robin recommended Pyrokinesis, Mike Harris,
That's
as
actually
a
really good.
pretty strong card against elves.
Fuck, yeah.
that would be scary.
Especially being free, like it's perfect for the deck.
Yeah, with the low to the ground strategy.
All right. Next time I play this deck. So deck lists are set, right? You can't.
Yes.
They are
change
set.
lists.
If we see a Pyrokinesis next week, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, no, that's a very good call. I think I would definitely do that, and I would take out the red hate for it because that's just that good against Sly and goblins. Oh my god.
Yeah. And zombies.
And zombies. Well, it takes out 2 zombies.
Hey, Shepherd of Rot and Carrion Feeder.
Oh, that's true. Carrion Feeder, though, you're gonna have a tough time.
You're gonna have a bad time.
I don't know if it's gonna take.
Totally fair.
But yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, this was a lot of fun. I'm
Yeah.
glad everybody got to see a much faster matchup.
Yeah. Well, I was glad we got to see this deck. I think everyone I was excited just seeing the list because I've never seen it in action. So it's always cool to see new versions of decks be played.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, actually, can I just real quick share the story I told, I think both of you guys, about building the deck?
sure.
So like I had been brewing around with Zoo, and I'm good Facebook friends with Kim Carl Pfeiffer, who was like the Zoo master. And so I was looking at his deck lists, and we had talked a little bit. I was leaning towards the 3 deuce version, and completely on my own, I was like, maybe if I had Reckless Charge and Lotus Petal to this deck, it'll be really good. Like, you turn all your creatures into lava axes, and Lotus Petal, getting 2 out early is crazy good. The very next day is when YouTube posted the list that he had sent you with Lotus Petal and Reckless Charge.
For the gauntlet. Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I was gonna show everybody how smart I am, like coming up with this new tech. It's completely ruined.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
love the
it's a
gun
ton of
deck.
fun. It's really fun, and the dryads, when you get them going, are really good.
Yeah, it was a little awkward in that sequence where it's like you played a dryad and then you had another dryad and then no other colored spell to follow it up. So that
Yeah,
was a little awkward.
yeah.
but-
Game 3, I knew I was gonna lose because it was like I mulled the first one because it only had one land. It would have been a really good hand otherwise, but you mull the first 7 for little reasons, and then the second one had no land, so I had to ship that one back. And then this one was like mix of land and spells, no removal. So I gotta just go with it. I can't go with 4, even if it's all removal.
Yeah.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah, because your list actually you didn't have that many removal spells actually. So
Yeah, exactly. I got the fanatics, I got the bolts, and I boarded in the terminates, and that's it.
Gotcha. Well, thanks, guys,
Yeah,
and
Of
congrats,
course.
Michael Arnold. To be specific here.
Congrats, dude.
Congrats
Just
to
go like
all
Michael A,
Michaels.
Michael A, like elementary school.
All Michaels. Yeah, we got Hoy, Paris, and Arnold.
yeah.
Uh-huh. All right, guys.
All right. Well, I'm gonna meet you guys. Flint and I are gonna say a few more things before we end the stream. So,
Cool. All right.
thanks for the games, guys, and we will see you guys next week. You guys will be playing again.
Next week.
So,
Yep.
enjoy the rest of your week. We hope to see you guys again on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
all
We'll be
right.
watching.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Later.
Have a good night, guys.
So let me pull up the. I have. I can't remember what the scene I called it. So we have some other resources, either podcasts or tournaments upcoming. So I want to bring that up for everyone to see. So one thing is, all things considered, is we mentioned it on the show when we were talking about the Alice podcast that I was talking about. So all things considered is hosted by Brian Manolakis, and he primarily does it on Old School, which is another format kind of similar to Premodern if you're not familiar with it, but it predates the sets of Premodern. So it starts at Alpha and goes through Fallen Empires, or depending on it, there's some different rules subsets, but anyways, he plays a little bit of Premodern, so every now and then he'll have either an episode or tidbits about the Premodern format. So if you're not already a subscriber to that podcast, it's something I really enjoy. I actually don't really play Old School, but I follow it a ton, so I listen to a lot of content and watch a bunch of stuff about the Old School format, so I find it really interesting. The next slide, I guess, that will come up here is the a tournament that's this weekend, the Midsummer Revel, and that's being hosted by Jared Doucette. He's one of the members of the Premodern Showdown series. So this tournament is going to be a one-day tournament. It's going to be the Saturday, and it's going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern time.
And Mike, where can people sign up for that?
So I know there's a post on the Premodern Online Play group, the Facebook group. Other than that, I would reach out to Jared to see, but I think he has a form to fill out, a Google form, and so there is an entry fee for this, and the fee is all going to go to charity, and then you also need to submit your deck list in advance, and the deadline to register, I think, is Thursday.
That's what I heard. Yeah, Thursday.
Because the tournament is this Saturday. So if you are interested, if you're available on Saturday, once again, it's a tournament that is going to be 5, 6, 7 rounds, I guess, depending on how many people sign up. And then we'll cut to top 4 or top 8. So it's all going to be played in one day, as compared to a lot of our leagues are kind of play at your own time over a certain period of time.
Yep.
I'll use that as a segue in terms of talking about the Premodern monthlies, which is what a lot of us play regularly. Every month we have a tournament through the Premodern Online Play group. It's organized by Andrew Walker. You would have seen him play earlier tonight with the Oath deck. Those you can sign up by joining the Premodern Online Play group on Facebook, and there's posts that'll go up from Andrew, usually around the end of the month, and you can register those. And so this is a kind of like a league, I guess I'll call it, in terms of the way that the matches are set up. Is you have a set number of opponents, and you have 3 weeks to finish all your matches with those opponents, and then we will cut to a top 16 or a top 8 based on your performance in your group stage. And then the last slide that I have is the pre-podcast, and so that's another podcast, but it is specifically dedicated to pre-modern content, and that's hosted by Mike Harris, Andrew Walker, and Jared Doucette. So those are all members of the Premodern Showdown series. We saw Mike with the Jun Zoo Grow deck, and then Andrew again was the one with the Oath deck. So those are some of our friends of the show, and we just want to give them some shout outs. Is there anything you want to add to that, Flint?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that I would give a shout out to would be 90s MTG. They play a lot of the older formats. It's mostly legacy driven, but they do play some vintage. They do play some pre-modern, and they do a really nice job over there. I think they rated us a little earlier, brought their viewers over here, so shout out to them and thank you for that. If you're interested in more of what I call the old man magic formats or old person magic formats, check those out. They have a lot of really good content on Twitch, and we'll have a more formal sort of advertisement for them in the future. But really good content, really well produced. So check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, I'll have a slide up for them in the future. I didn't have time to put one together, but they hosted or rated us so towards the end of our stream. So we thank you for that. And if you're not checking them out or subscribe to them on Twitch or following them on Twitch, you could subscribe to them too. You can do that. Other than that, I guess I'll just go back to our schedule real quick. So we played our first 4 matches of the week, and then here's our upcoming David Daniel and Patrick Burt, and then Jared Doucette and Robin Lund. So the remaining players of the Showdown series will be playing on Wednesday, and then we have 8 weeks of play. So all these opponents are going to play everyone one time. So if there's a deck that you really wanted to see that didn't get a chance, or maybe it was played and you want to see it again, don't fret. There's still more opportunities for those decks to be played. So the next stream will be on Wednesday. We're going to start at the same time of 9:30 Eastern, and then consistently we'll be on Mondays and Wednesdays.
And Michael, is there somewhere where people can go to take a look at all the deck lists? Do we have those posted somewhere?
I have not posted those. I was going to post them after Wednesday's match, is what I was planning on doing.
That makes sense.
So you'll have to tune into the stream to see the decks for the remaining 4 players, and then I'll post the visuals of for everyone to look at. So other than that, we want to thank everyone for tuning in.
And sticking around.
Yes.
We still have 16 viewers here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we're really excited for this series, and we're looking forward to doing more episodes, and we're excited for a lot more pre-modern Magic matches coming up. So we hope that you guys will be able to tune in on Wednesday, and we'll see you then.
See you then, everyone. Thanks again.